Hey, it's Andrew, your crypto guy on the internet. Let's talk crypto regulation. To do that, we need a wide understanding of things, what the government's goal is, and what our goal is. So, the government's goal is ultimately a central bank digital currency, meaning the money that we get isn't issued to us or held in private banks anymore, but directly from the government itself. So the money supply is centrally controlled. Why would they want to do that? So they can control our finances in case we do something that they don't like, right? An example of this was the Freedom Convoy in Canada. Bunch of truckers didn't want a forced vaccine, and so they parked their trucks in the middle of the city, and Justin Trudeau got upset, and he gave himself new powers, and he was able to freeze the money that the truckers have. So they effectively had no money. They had no way to eat. And if you want to control somebody, you don't have to shoot them. You just turn their money off, right? Even though it's their money, he was able to reach in, grab it, and freeze it to force them to leave. Cryptocurrency came to the rescue. People were sending Bitcoin, stuff that goes around banking and governments, so these truckers could buy a hot dog. They could survive with this cryptocurrency. And this sparked some controversy. So we had folks like Elizabeth Warren who took this as a means of, hey, we need to jump in this because we're doing the same thing with Russians, right? So Russians and Ukrainians struggling with this stuff, mostly Ukrainians. Ukrainians are accepting cryptocurrency and they're converting their local currency, which is plummeted, into crypto, so it sustains some kind of value. And they can send money in and out. Russians can still send money in and out for the most part. And she wants to change that, not just for people in Russia, but for anybody with cryptocurrency. She wants to be able to see and know every transaction. And if you had a central bank coin, all of that would be wide open. The government would know every single thing you've done with your money because they control it. So if you bought a hot dog, they would know. If you bought a house, they would know. Right now, our money is, you put it in a bank like Wells Fargo. Now, banks are private. They're not the government. They do have to follow a lot of rules, but ultimately, it's still your money. You have control over it. And the government cannot see what you do with your money unless you move a lot of it at once, like $10,000 or more. That has to be reported. Or if, let's say, you commit a major felony, the government can bring a warrant to the bank and say, we need to see what he's doing with his money. And the bank can go, okay. Or we need to freeze his assets if he's doing something seriously bad. But day-to-day transactions, like I said, buying a hot dog or a dildo or going to the movies or something, the government doesn't know any of that. They just see what you report on your taxes at the end. A central bank coin would change all that. They would have total surveillance of everything you do. And what's the big deal about surveillance? You're not a criminal, right? Well, with social media and everything, right now if you talk shit about Biden, like I do in all my videos, they can't really do anything to me, right? It's free speech. But they go, yeah, under a central bank coin, sure, you have free speech. You can say whatever you want, but we're going to turn your money off. Let's see how much you want to say then, right? And I'll go, okay, and I won't say anything bad anymore because I'll starve to death. That's what a central bank coin allows the government to do, in theory. And so people are going, they're not going to do that, but they are. So they need cryptocurrency technology because a central bank coin would use technology that's from cryptocurrency. So it's essentially kind of like a cryptocurrency, but with a completely different goal. So crypto, as we know it, is all about being decentralized. So it's not controlled by any government or company or bank. It's all just what you have is what you have, and you can send it wherever you want, and there's no problems, no rules, really. There's some rules, but it's totally private. Now, transactions are posted on a public ledger that's put into a blockchain and cannot be tampered with. But the identities of all of these transactions is kept private. Okay, so you can see that money was sent, but you don't really know who it was. And Elizabeth Warren doesn't like that. She wants to be able to know everything about every transaction. And I understand why. She's using Russia as an excuse, but this proposal doesn't stop with Russia. It's to anybody, okay, and that includes us. So then you have someone like Tom Emmer, who shows up in January before all this Russia stuff, and he introduces something that would effectively ban the United States government from ever making a central bank coin. And it was a bill back in January, and the news did not bring it up at all until Ted Cruz kind of added to it. So you're starting to see who's on what side when it comes to cryptocurrency. You have folks like Elizabeth Warren who want to use crypto as a means of control, and then you have people like Ted Cruz and Mr. Emmer, Tom Emmer, who want to use cryptocurrency as a means of freedom. Now, both Emmer and Cruz are on board with taxing cryptocurrency, and I'm fine with that. When I say I'm pro-crypto regulation, it's within reason, in that crypto right now, it's kind of unclear as to what we do with crypto, in terms of how do you classify it, because every crypto is a little different. And that's how you have SEC problems with things like XRP. It's like, are you a security? Are you a commodity? Are you a currency? Like, what are you? Because once we know what you are, we have rules for that, and we can put you in that box, and you can continue doing your thing, and then we can tax you properly. Not so much to where the game's over, but enough to where everybody's making money. I'm fine with that kind of regulation. And that's what Ted Cruz is on board with, but he does not want crypto to be used as a means of control over people. So the central bank coin, he's completely against it. Tom Emmer, who I didn't even hear about until I read about this, apparently he's out of Minnesota, some Republican guy. Now, I don't know anything about him, but the fact that he stood up in January and said, hey, don't you fucking do a central bank coin. That's evil. We don't want to be China, where you can just turn people's money off. That's not right. And it got really no help from anybody other than probably a handful of Republicans. But now that Ted Cruz is piled on, people know who Ted Cruz is. He's a Republican out of Texas, little smarmy, and we don't know if he's the Zodiac killer. But he is on our side when it comes to crypto. He owns some Bitcoin, so whenever crypto comes up, he's very pro-crypto and pro-freedom, which is what he's supposed to be. Republicans are supposed to be the party of small government, leave people alone. And that has changed over the years, and then libertarians popped up because they are what Republicans are supposed to be. The party of, leave me the fuck alone. As long as I'm not hurting anybody, I should be able to do what I want, right? The Freedom Party. And so Ted Cruz kind of steps into the libertarian basket every once in a while and says, yeah, like, people should have crypto. It's a great thing, and we want to stay on top because the rest of the world is doing it too. Utilize this technology. Don't fight it. Don't try to control it so much. But we can regulate it in a way that clarifies some things. But let the game continue so we can tax it and everyone prospers. That's the goal here. Now, if you're totally against Republicans no matter what, and you hate them, then you also have a guy on the left named Andrew Yang. Andrew Yang has his own little DeFi thing going on here. He's very pro-crypto. A little about Andrew Yang. He called out that, hey, we're going to be running into some serious automation. So like any low-skill job like McDonald's, you're not going to work there anymore. It's all going to be robots. And he's right. It's already starting with self-checkouts and stuff. So he goes, look, if robots are replacing all the low-skill jobs, what are we going to do? We should issue out a universal basic income, basically an automatic check from the government every month for $1,000, which sounds great, but then your landlord will just increase rent by $1,000. If the same thing happened with student loans. They're like, oh, everyone should go to college, right? So here's basically free money. It's just a zero interest loan, and anyone can have any amount of money they want. And that sounded great, but then schools were like, oh, he's got $100,000 now? Well, graphic design costs $100,000 now. It just raised the price of everything, and now you have a shitty degree that should have cost 10 grand. Now it's 100 grand. There's no way you're paying that back making logos. Okay, that's what happened to me. But so Andrew Yang, like, I'm not on board with UBI. I think that's silly. But he is on the side of crypto. He's very pro-crypto. So when I see stuff like this from Elizabeth Warren, and she brought on all these experts to discuss it, she thinks that people can just do illegal activities with crypto, and that does happen, but it's like 20-1 in terms of money laundering with American dollars versus any kind of crypto. It's not even close. It's not even close. And if you think that you can move a lot amount of money and nobody sees it, that's not true either. Like, you can track the movement of large amounts of crypto because it's all public and it all gets reported by these exchanges. So she's wrong about that one too. If you want to launder money, this comment was funny. Just go through JP Morgan. Okay, they've been doing it forever. Banks get caught with that shit all the time and they just pay a fine. So if you want to launder money, send it to the Cayman Islands or something. Like, it's way easier than trying to do it through crypto. So hopefully this central bank coin thing gets delayed a little bit. They tried to sneak some stuff in the Biden's infrastructure bill last time. Here's an old picture of Ted Cruz. He kind of got in the way of it. They probably put it back into this new version of Biden's proposal. So that's it. Look, the government wants to convert everybody to the central bank coin. It'll happen very slowly. So they're going to welcome cryptocurrency. They're going to regulate it enough to where everyone sees it as part of the mainstream. Everyone's used to using crypto. And then, through tax incentives, the government will put out a central bank coin, which is already made. It already works. It's already tested. But it hasn't been released yet. They want people to ease into crypto, and they go, hey, all these regulations for crypto are great, right? You're paying 20% tax on your Bitcoin sales? Sure, but if you use central bank coin, it's only 10% tax. And that brings some people over because it's a better deal. And then the banks will probably get upset because they're the ones who are supposed to be controlling people's money, or at least holding people's money. And instead, it's coming from the central bank of the United States. So the banks will get upset, the private banks, and they're going to get bled out unless they join this central bank plan. It's going to be an ugly transition, but a slow one, until anything that isn't the central bank coin will be taxed to hell, until everybody jumps in. And then once you have your money coming directly from the central bank of the United States, the Fed basically, they can turn you off if you say something you don't like. So we need to fight this every step of the way. And if you see any government representative pushing for a central bank coin or any kind of overreach like that, you need to put your hand up like this and be like, nah, man, I'm not into that at all. So crypto is a tool for freedom, not control. I just want to let you guys know who's on our side.